My name is Dwight Mogler. I call myself a senior partner, meaning the senior generation of our family business. As I'm fourth generation, my children fifth, and their children who are already growing up in rural America on the farm are sixth generation offspring of a great grandfather of mine who put his stakes in the ground here back in the late 1800s. My father thought it would be strategically wise to diversify beyond just cattle, and so that's when we got into modern pork production. And so our family's been involved in modern pork production. The reason that we have the strongest economy in the world is because we have the most affordable food supply, and we have the infrastructure to get it to people in a low-cost way that it can be safe and affordable. And therefore, we can have, a lot of people don't have to worry about raising food for their families. But as a result of that, we become more and more generations removed from our farming or our agricultural roots. People have really lost an understanding of really how true farms work today. Proposition 12, it really had a lot of very troubling details, not science-based whatsoever, to make it very restrictive on us to implement and practice the husbandry practices that we have implemented on our farms. And so they put very specific space requirements, 24 square feet for a gestating sow. So a sow would be the term for a female pig that would be carrying young, would be pregnant. And not only that, but during her lifetime, from the age of 5 months and beyond, she always has to be given that amount of space, and she can never be housed in what we call individual maternity pens, or what is referred to as stalls, where they're housed by themselves. And the reason we do that is to protect themselves from themselves. And so very troubling to us that somebody else would impose standards when who knows best other than those of us who for multiple generations, skills. I mean, really the only way you learn that is to live it. And those who live it know best. We chose as an industry to hopefully use legal processes through the courts. And it was appealed all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States, which was a huge victory. Unfortunately, it was a 5-4 vote. And so had it been 4-5, this law would have been nullified and would not be implemented. But because the appeal failed, it will become codified into law as it stands now, July 1st. The farm we built in 2015 doesn't meet Prop 12 standards. And so the farm we built in 2014 had the individual maternity pens. We knew that it wasn't a matter of if, it would be when we would convert that farm to a group housing standard that would meet a market in the US. And so we actually had the great opportunity to convert a farm that we intended to convert to Prop 12 standards. That farm in 2014 cost us $12 million, this partnership, to build this 5,200 sow farm that produces 155,000 pigs a year. In 2022, which was last year, we spent an additional $8.7 million, so nearly 70% of the original construction costs, to make it Prop 12 compliant. We had to add a whole nother barn to create 24 square feet. We had to remove all the individual maternity pens and replace them with not only pens, but pens that have electronic sow feeding stations. We typically, on that farm, prior to conversion, 95 to 96% of the animals that are inseminated would be a successful conception. We call that conception rate. So 96% of all females that are mated achieve pregnancy, a phenomenal performance metric. We slipped to 70%. We've done our part, but not every farm has been able to do that. It takes a certain amount of business acumen. It takes a certain amount of intestinal fortitude. It takes a certain amount of just long-term commitment to the legacy of farming in order to make those types of commitments. And at some point in time, your appetite for debt, your ability and appetite for risk, your lender's appetite for risk reaches a point where you go no further. And then you're forced with the decision of basically going out of business or shutting the farm down and selling it. And so a lot of businesses, pork producers like myself, are going through a very, very high level of financial stress today in spite of the Supreme Court ruling. And so the timing really could not have been worse. The financial stress is real. The uncertainty is real. So this is a very serious situation for a lot of families today.